Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. I wanted to make a video to give you guys some information. I'm just checking my mic if you're wondering what I'm doing. But I wanted to give you some information on how to perform credit repair and how to do an dispute effectively. It all goes hand in hand. I'm also announcing I'm about to roll out. I have a Facebook group, and it's a quick guide on how to boost your credit fast. If you are joining me, please, if this is your first time, you find the information valuable, please like and subscribe to the channel. But coming up August 1st, 2020, it'll be Saturday. I'm going to roll out another increase your credit score basically challenge. We started off with that group back in January, and a number of participants that started, just about the majority, started with a credit score in the lower 600s, maybe below that, but a number of them are now in the 700s. Actually, one of the participants, his wife and himself, I did some work for him personally, and maybe back in April, and he's at the 800s now. So yes, I do help you with credit repair, and I'll leave you the information. And this group you can join for absolutely free. Most of these people that they just follow the information, and like I'm gonna begin to do here on my YouTube channel, I'm going to go here live at 8 p.m. like I was doing back in January when we started it. I do go on my Facebook Live often, but I need to put the content here so I can refer people when they have questions to the information and the goals. So hopefully this will help you guys on your credit journey, really how to figure it out, how to increase your credit score. So I'm going to give you some basic information when you're starting. Number one, to do credit repair, you need to first look at your goals. What are you trying to accomplish? So you might have a long-term goal or a short-term goal. So some people, I will leave the information also in the group, Miss Rogers. Good afternoon, Trey. Thank you for joining me. For a long-term goal or a short-term goal, you want to pay attention to what you're trying to accomplish. Many people might be at a 400 credit score and they're saying, well, I got to get to a 850 or 800. You want to really maybe not focus on that, but what you're trying to accomplish, because depending on where you're starting, it may take some time to reach there. And a lot of people don't understand when it comes down to a 740 to a 750 credit score, there's not much difference on how variation of interest rates you're really going to get. So a lot of that, if you don't have a lot of age of credit, things like that, your credit score is not going to be at that 850. So that making it a goal might be unrealistic for who you are and where you're starting out for your credit journey. You can eventually get there, but you want to be realistic about your goal. If your goal is to, a lot of people want to purchase a home. If your goal is to purchase a home, you need to be clear on your goal purchasing a home. It's, if you go on FHA, it's not dictated so much on your credit score sometimes. Now I know we're in a different pandemic situation, and some of the lenders have increased their requirements, but for the most part, if you don't have charge-offs, open accounts, judgments, things and collections, things in that nature, you should be able to get a home. So if that is you, you want to more or less focus on, if you really need to get a home, the collections aspect, the charge-off aspects, and any open judgments, those kind of aspects that's on your account. So you want to keep that in mind. If you're a person that you're looking to move, your real focus may be to close some of these negative accounts out to get those removed, but also focusing on your credit score. You might want to maximize your credit score. So a lot of people think credit repair and they just bunch it up all in one term, but to increase your credit score and really doing removing negative items are kind of two different processes. You can do it simultaneously, but you can increase your credit score without removing a negative item at all. So there's both parts of it. So you have to really consider it. So one part, if you're looking to do credit repair, number one, look at your goals. Number two, if you're going to try to dispute negative items off of your credit report, you have to always first remove old addresses and incorrect names. These identifiers can anchor old collections, old charge-offs, old information connected, negative information connected to you. These items, identifiers, can connect that, because if you had a credit card account maybe about 3 years ago and you moved, the way the system identified that's your account, and we all have names that someone else share your exact same name. How the system identified that person as you is by one of them, your social security number, but your address and the spelling of your name. So it is not uncommon that people credit files get merged, especially if you have a common name. If you live in a big building, you might have someone that live in that building with your exact same name, but their apartment number is different, or some of their spelling is slightly different from your name. Like a common name might be Michael Jackson, or Steve Smith. Very common name. So you want to first make sure you dispute before attacking anything, removing old addresses and incorrect names. You got to take the time to slow down and do that. The third thing that people need to look at is when they look at their credit profile, you definitely have to look at each account individually. Don't say, like people say, I got to repair my credit. That's like saying I got to repair my house right now. What is individually wrong with your house? So you need to look at what is negatively reporting on your credit report. Look at each individual item. Just don't attack it that, okay, this is a charge off. A charge off is a charge off. It's not necessarily true some of the time. Some of this you got information on with that account. Something might have happened on the side of the original creditor that could be very impertinent to that account for you to dispute it. So you don't want to just say, I'm going to do everything the same way. You want, if you have some information, especially let's say late payments with student loan accounts, many people might be in deferment, but they report that account late. You have paperwork. You have an actual standing that something happened with that account. I'm currently in deferment. So you just don't want to dispute that late payment for your student loans the same as a late payment for your credit card account. So you want to keep that in mind. Also, number 4, what's the best course of action? Okay. Once you look at those individual accounts that you have, what is the best course of action to handle this? So when it comes down to especially, let's say late payments, Is it that account still open? So do you still have a relationship with whoever is providing that information, your credit card company? If it's one late payment, your option may not to be to dispute it at all through the bureaus, just to call your credit card company, especially if you got good history, and have them to see if you can reverse that way, or send in or submit in a goodwill letter. One thing you got to keep in mind: the longer you dispute items with the bureau, or you have a number of items with the bureau, the longer, the less resistant they want to move items. So you want to try to minimize what you have to dispute if you can as possible, especially if you have something really major like student loan accounts that have a number of late payments, and depending on when that was reported, you might need to really focus on that. Or a bankruptcy, you might want to really focus on that, which is something, a bankruptcy, you have to go through the bureaus to rectify. So you want to try to limit and have a strategy of how to handle these items. A notorious thing: collections. You don't want to initially, do I really go directly to the credit bureaus with that? You want to dispute directly with the collection company, because the a type of account it is. You want to send a debt validation letter from the door. That is it. If you get a letter from a collection company, you just want to reply instead of putting it to the side with a debt validation letter. If they cannot prove that they have a legal right to collect on that debt, whether it be owed or not, that's irrelevant. We all have bills. Don't mean any Joe Schmo could just knock on your door to collect for that debt. If they're saying, well, we're collecting for the original creditor and it's not charged off, where's your contract? Who are you? I don't know you. So you just don't let someone come and knock on your door and let them in your house. That is not what you do. Same thing. Why would you give money to a company you have no idea of who they are? I wouldn't let someone in my house that say, hey, I know your dad. So what? I don't care if you know him or not. Who are you? You know, you got to identify yourself before you can come in my house. So it's the same thing. And like I said, when it comes to repairing your credit, it's the same thing as building a house. There's different functions in a house. A collection is not the same as a charge-off. And late payments are not the same on an open account, on a closed account. So these are two different types of relationships. So if an account is closed, that company may not be as willing to reverse any negative reporting. So in that case, you know, for those late payments, I have to dispute. But you have to find the best course of action in order to handle each negative item that you have. Another thing, the best course of action. A lot of people always think, wow, I got a late payment. I need to take this off. I got to get rid of it. Sometimes your best course of action is to leave that account alone. And I want to be very clear, because there's a lot of people that really don't understand credit. It's not always, even if a late payment you have on an account, maybe even two late payments, if that account is a older account and you're a person that have a lot of trouble credit and you don't really have much good history at all, you might need to leave that, especially if it's over 2 years old. That's not even accounting in your score. So you need to learn how to pick and choose your battles. That's very important, because a lot of people will try to chase after something. And if you remove that account and it's a long-standing account or older account, you will remove your age of credit. That will decrease your credit score. So we'll be talking about that later on. But a lot of people don't really strategize or understand, because this is why I give this information, to let you learn. You have to not, this is why you put your disputes in hands of people because they just tell you whatever. You don't know if it's correct or true, and they're so-called fixing your credit. And a lot of you look up, had a credit sweep, and wonder why your score actually dropped. That's one of the factors. Because if you ain't never had anything positive, and the one account that you have that's closed that is positive, you allowed them to take that off, and now your score is 60 points less than where you started. So keep those kind of things in mind. The next thing you need to determine is if you have to dispute an item. If you got to dispute a collection, a charge-off, your best course is to look at the reporting. Also with late payments, if you have to go to the bureaus, if you got more than one late payment, what is your best course of action? Always, the older the item it is, the easier it is to challenge. If you have just missed a payment, that is pretty hard to challenge. And the reason why, unless you have a good reason to, it's so recent. A lot of these items, when time is given, especially with charge-offs from that original creditor, they either wrote off that account and moved on. A lot of them, credit card companies only have a limited time where they keep those payment history on that information. So sometimes if you got something recent, you might want to first start on the older items, the easier items to get off. I mean, if you really have an issue and it's fresh, be my guest, you can attack it, but we're talking about strategy. The older the items are, usually the easier you can get the item off. So you want to see, how do I attack this item? Even with a charge off, not so much, this is not mine. If that account really isn't yours, then it isn't yours. It's not my account. My file got merged. But if it's a charge off and you know you're connected to that account, you need to look at that item and see if anything are missing. Is the card limit missing on that account? Capital One do that a lot. There's no card limit on that account. Does that charge off have a monthly payment still attached? A lot of people ask, well, it still has a balance. If it's not sold, it can report that you have a balance. But the monthly payment, when it's charged off, they cannot, because that's adding more debt onto your credit report as a payment. That's a violation that you want to challenge. Hey, this charge off have a monthly payment. You might have another charge off that don't have a monthly payment, but is reporting late payments, even though it was closed and charged off way beyond 180 days. And you may see every couple of months that account, years later, interest is going up and up on that account. That's something for that charge off you need to challenge. How is this being calculated? This whole item needs to be removed. Late payments on a closed account. There are many a times with that closed account, that creditor is basically out of it. So the older that account is, you can challenge that late payment. Sometimes with late payments, the easier ones to reverse is the oldest late payment. So you may want to start off with the oldest late payment and try to remove that account, or looking at that closed account, if it really had bad payment history, to try to remove the whole account. So sometimes you need to see how I'm going to handle this. What's the best course of action that's going to be on my credit profile? How should I attack and determine, what is the individual issue with this account? Not so much as not mine. You don't want to do that. It's it's AI. It's so much information out here. But the thing about the Fair Credit Reporting Act, in order for them to report, it has to be 100% accurate. And you also, the item needs to be complete in its reporting. But accuracy is something you can find, something that's inaccurate, especially if you have a credit monitoring system and you're getting all three accounts across the board. Where's the inconsistency in that reporting? And you want to handle that. Re-aging is another big thing, especially re-aging the account when it was open. You want to make sure if that account was charged off, the last payment date with that collections that's on there should be from that charge off last payment date. Not that they're coming up with a whole new date of them adding this collection item to keep it on your credit report longer. So those are little things that you need to look for. And then you want to basically also determine what is your outcome when these things happen. You're looking at this certain item. You want to try to dictate, if I attack this, what is the outcome? Keep in mind, because you remove something negative off your credit report or what you deem negative, it does not mean that it's going to equal with your score going up. So you have to keep that in mind. What if I remove this item? What is it going to do to my credit score? So there's a number of people, if you don't have much credit history, you might need to maintain as much as possible. How old is this item that's reporting? What's going to happen if I remove this item? Is it going to take my credit score? Is it holding up something that I'm really weak in and I really need this, like age of credit? Or I don't have much credit at all because I'm younger. I really need something that shows that I actually had an account or a type of account. So you want to keep out what is going to be the outcome if I remove this item. Is it going to be a win for me? Is it going to make me look fundable? Because we're not trying to, it's a difference in just having a credit score, high credit score, and really looking at a fundable credit profile. So I don't have time to go into all of that, but there's a difference. There's a lot of people that might have a high credit score, but won't get funded, because then you got to go down on what do your profile look like. This is connecting to your character. So think about that. It connects to your responsibility. So you might have had some trouble payments on a home that you sold, a real estate account. And you might have had back in 2013, 14, some missed payment history. But it's 2020. Is it good to remove that whole account off when it showed that you had a level of responsibility of being a homeowner? And let's say you sold that in 2019 and you came over and had good payment history. Because of a few late payments or trouble history, is it worth for you to remove a whole real estate account that you had a mortgage, that level of responsibility? Sometimes that's not a way that you're going to get funded. So you want to keep those things in mind. This is about dressing up your profile ultimately so you look fundable, not that we're just running around to say a credit score. Anybody that follow my information, I'm really not credit repair. I'm in the real estate industry. So I'm a landlord. So how I learned this information was all about how can I leverage my credit to gain assets. So if you're just a person, in my opinion, on, hey, I just want a good credit score, and you're going to die with an 850 credit score and still die broke. What good is that? And if you're a person that's going to use your credit keep in mind, you're not going to maintain a 850 credit score if you're more or less using your credit to gain assets. So ultimately, I'm just not one of these people about, oh, credit, get a car. That's dumb to the dumb to the dumb. If you're not making money with that car, it's just dumb. Let's just keep it 100. Let's keep it real. Retarded to keep getting items that you can't pay for. It makes no sense. So I see a number of people, 7 years, 3 repos. What's going on here? How are you not even paying that vehicle for, like 2 repos is a hard stretch in a 7 year. It fall off in 7 years. So it's what you're investing your money in. It's how you're playing this game. As they said, be a winner in a game of life. Ultimately, if you gonna want good credit, you need income. Let's just keep it real. The most reason why people have bad credit is because they got sick, they could not get up and work, or they lost their job, including now. So if people are not taking this into account, how am I going to use my name to leverage items to make me an income? You're going to be left out in the cold every time. So that's just it. So you want to keep these strategies in mind. Number 1, what's your goal? Number 2, you got to remove those old items that's anchoring down those negative accounts. So your old addresses, any markings that will connect that account to you, you want to try to remove it before you attack that information off. Looking at the individual item, just don't put a broad, just scope on everything. Look at each individual account. What's your best course of action to really handle that account individually, and then determine the correct or the incorrect reporting across the board. All 3 major credit bureaus. See if you can find anything that's inconsistent. Not saying it's not mine, unless it's really not yours. Then determine what your outcome is going to be. How is this ultimately going to affect your credit score? So this is your best way to do credit repair and build your disputes on the items that you're trying to really the negative items to improve your overall. Make sure I answer you guys' questions. I thank you so much for joining me. Hey, Sherry, do you help with credit repair? I have a few items that I've disputed, but no luck removing them. Yeah, feel free, Toya, to reach out to me. And we also, one thing I want you to keep in mind, how many disputes, what kind of items it was, and what way did you attack it. So if you're going through the bureaus, everybody, it's going to take a number of rounds of letters. Please keep in mind, each bureau is its own company. So they don't work in conjunction with one another. So keep that clearly in mind. Also, if you need to get a dispute, I have letters. Many times I always say I use affidavits. The reason why the bureaus don't have to respond if they feel that it is coming, or even furnishers of information from a credit repair company. So the way you do that is use an affidavit. You go before a notary, show your license information. They put a seal from the state that it's you. It's coming from you, because then they can determine that it's an irrelevant or a relevant dispute. So they don't even have to reply at all. So you want to keep that in mind moving forward. So hopefully this information will give you a clear idea. If you did send out some disputes, maybe some things you might need to adjust. Can I call the bureaus to get rid of old information? You can try and see if they will allow you to remove old information that way. But a lot of times They may not. Like I said, it's individual bureaus and see what they say. One thing about the bureaus you have to understand, the bureaus is not there for you. So whatever that lender tells them, that's what they want to go with. If you have a bank account open to an address and then you're trying to dispute that off, they can be resistant because once again, you're not their customer. You know, you're their product. They sell your information. So they're not there to help you. They make money off of you. They're not really there to service you. Actually, everything they put up is to deter you from actually getting results because bad credit is big business. They sell that subprime credit at a much higher rate to lenders because they can make more interest off of you. And then it said, Christopher says, so your address on your credit report should be your current address. Absolutely. It should be your current address. Thank you, Miss Coleman, for joining me from Richmond, Virginia. I appreciate it. What's going on, everybody? Thank you, Dave. How you doing? My sister has 3 credit card accounts with zero balance. So I guess that's November 12th, or is that November 2012? That's very important. I need to know. The 11th through the 12th on each, for each, you're saying past 3 years, what would I reckon? I need to get those dates. When you're saying from 11 through the 12th, what month? You know, what year? So for the past 3 years, so I'm assuming last year, I need some more information on what type of the account. And, you know, I need more information on that. That's kind of broad. Same question as Dave. Okay. Same question as Dave. You have to give me more information because I need, just like I went over what type of account it is. Is it a revolving account, like a credit card account, an installment account? Believe it or not, all of that makes a difference because under the Fair Credit Billing Act with credit card accounts, they are required because they're a revolving account to send you your statement within 21 days. So that could be an avenue, but you cannot use that with a car loan. Those are installment accounts. So it's different ways that you can leverage different things. So that's why I said, going back to what I just said, you have to attack the account individually. Don't put a just broad brush on it. Oh, I just got late payments. For what? What kind of account? You know, so it definitely does matter. And it said 11 to 12 months late for payment on each credit card. Maybe 11, is that 11, 12 payments late, months late on a credit card? Is it open? Is it closed? Is it charged off? I kind of need more details to give you an answer. If you did just joining me, go back and just listen to some of the information I just gave. Has 3 big credit card accounts. They are all open. She paid all of them as of March. But when we reviewed her credit, it reports a lot of late payments on each card. 11 maybe. Okay. And this accounts are open, and you're saying as of March. I guess you can use the information I just gave to try to dispute that, or look at the payments on that one account across the board for Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Are there different dates reporting as late, or a number of payments? Is one of them saying that it was paid on time for one of those months? So you can leverage that as a dispute in itself. Equifax is reporting February of 2020 as on time, but TransUnion is saying this payment is late. This is inconsistent reporting. the furnisher did not give me accurate information. You know, Fair Credit Billing Act required them to give me 21 days notice before sending out this information, and they never did. And so you can do it like that and said, so, or this payment was paid on time, update as paid as agreed. That's it. So try to use one or the other. Another key with a late payment, if you see that it's being paid late, you just say paid as agreed, TransUnion, Equifax, whatever the other one is. Have this payment made on time. Update as paid as agreed. So you start there. And then one thing you have to be careful of, if they come back with a response saying that it was validated, you want to then request the method of validation. Okay, how did you validate this? When this company, I might submit that item reporting on that other bureau as such. The furnisher is the source of the information, so how is this possible? Two different reporting. Then if they come back with that verified, you want to pivot now to another issue with that account. Maybe balance, open date, whatever you can find. Don't beat a dead horse if it's not overturning. The reason why, if under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, if they did answer the request or validate the debt, then they can now say this dispute is frivolous and irrelevant. We already answered this. So then you want to move to another item with that same account. So try to keep, if you find a number of things wrong with an account, keep an ace in the hole, because you have to pivot so they don't dismiss you coming back attacking this item. The key point here, especially with doing factual disputes, you want to build a case, because ultimately, if they do not remove that account, then you have to file a claim. But you want to make sure they're clearly violating the Fair Credit Reporting Act. They're clearly, so you want to make sure you don't throw everything out there at one time, where you can keep progressing on attacking that item. So I hope that's helpful. In the past, she thought she would skip 1 month. She could pay the total at the end of the month. I told her it doesn't work. She has to pay it every month. Yes. So hopefully you can connect her to the channel or any other information, videos. It just sound like she just need more education on how to handle credit and how the system works. So hopefully that will help her moving forward. So if you guys need any information, I will leave the link for my group via YouTube. Via Facebook. If you want to join, it's absolutely free. Our credit increase challenge that's coming up August the 1st. If you have friends and family that need the information, need to increase their credit score, especially with everything that's going on, credit is going to be very important. Make sure that you have them to join. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I will be making the videos here, and I like to make this information here. So if anybody call me for help, a lot of times I'll just link them to the videos. So if you need my help personally, I'll leave my information. And also, if you need the letters, if you need to do a dispute, you need dispute affidavits, you can get that at my website. If you need debt validation letters, that's my deluxe collection package. You can get that. And now I have an ultimate deluxe collection package, because just really for everybody that have so many issues, it'll just be the number of letters that you would need to handle things from the credit bureaus all the way down to your collections, medical or consumer collections. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining me. I appreciate every one of you that joined me on this live. I look forward to hearing from you. Be safe